Imagine being able to accompany any band or soloist and make them sound better. In this video, we're going to reveal the secrets to taking your jazz comping to the next level, so you can become the go-to guitarist that everybody wants to jam with. Stay tuned, because this is a game changer you won't want to miss. Hi, I'm Dr. George with Jumpstart Jazz Guitar, helping you make better music. Before we get started, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. You know, comping is probably the most important thing we do, but it's often the most overlooked skill. Everybody wants to play lead. But the fact of the matter is we're going to spend 80% of our time in the rhythm section making others sound better. Now, the other day I had a gig with a singer, and at the end of it she came to me and said, you know, I can do things with you that I can't do with anybody else. Now, I take that as a great compliment, and I also take it to mean that I'm probably going to get some more gigs. So, leveling up your comping skills is a great idea. In this video, we're going to take a look at how to become a better accompanist and a better band member, and we'll look at the different ways that you can approach comping. So, let's get started. So, in order to comp well, you have to understand how everything fits together. Now, there was a great article by Bobby Owsinski. He's a great teacher, and he teaches recording and production. He's written dozens of books, lots of courses. And if you're interested in recording and production, you definitely want to check him out. But anyway, he wrote a blog post called The 5 Parts of an Arrangement. And I thought that it made so much sense, not just for recording and production, but also for guitar playing. See, we need to know where we fit in the arrangement, because guitar has this big, wide range. We can play these big chords. We can play very rhythmically. We can really fill up a lot of space. And that's not always just because we can. That's probably not what we should be doing. So Bobby listed 5 parts of the arrangement. Now, one part was the lead, and we're not going to pay any attention to that because that's what we're supporting when we're in the rhythm section. So let's take a look at the other 4 parts. Now, the first one is the foundation. Now, the foundation is the timekeeping, the groove. And if there's a bass player, the bass player will be part of that. And and the drummer as well will usually be part of that. And a guitar player can easily be part of it just by deciding to play time, either playing like, playing full chords like that if there's no bass player, and if the bass player is present, maybe you're just going to be playing this. Okay? So that puts us in the foundation. So anything that is going to be part of the timekeeping, the basic groove, is going to be the foundation. Now, going along with that, then, is the rhythm part. Now, the rhythm part is the counter rhythm. It's not the same as it's going to be a different rhythm than the foundation, but it will complement it and fit in together. So maybe something like this. So that's a little different rhythm, and it just adds to the foundation of the overall groove. Okay? As you can see, it's quite a simple part, though. You don't put a lot into it. Now, the third part that we can do is fills. And so if you're doing fills, what you want to be doing is thinking about what's going on when the lead is not playing. You see, we have to give the audience something to listen to. And so when the lead, whether it's a soloist or the melody or whatever, you will fit in between that. So if we're thinking about the song, this is all of me if you hadn't noticed. Okay, so if I'm thinking about da 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 ba do da 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 da, something like that. And so there we're filling it in. Now, of course, we can do that in a lot of different ways. We could be playing single notes as well, and we can also be playing bigger chords or chords that are, up here. But those are fills. And so, again, not real busy. We're not playing a lot of different things. Now, the last idea is pads. Now, pads are the sustained sounds, and the epitome of pads would be strings. Now, I probably don't play a lot of pads with shell voicings. But I could, if this was a ballad, maybe we're playing something like this. But normally I would play that probably higher, something like this. Okay? So something like that. So we'd be playing up there. And so they're sustained, not very active at all. They're just adding some nice colors up in a range that's kind of out of the way of the lead. So those are the 5 basic parts of the arrangement. So now that you know the different parts of the arrangement, how do you go about choosing which one of those parts you're going to play? Well, the first thing I want to mention is that you really have to have the right mindset here. As Victor Wooten told us, our job in the rhythm section is to make others sound better. So when you're part of the rhythm section, you've really got to set your ego aside and be willing to play what it is that will make the music sound better. So really the main reason that we make these decisions has to do with the instrumentation. So if I'm a soloist, I can play any of those 4 roles at any time that is appropriate. Okay, so I'm definitely going to have to be part of the timekeeping. So I'll have that going on, but I might also want to make it a little bit more rhythmic. I can be a little percussive about it too. Okay. And then I can also throw in some fills when there's some space in there too. Okay. Fills can be either rhythmic or they can be melodic, or we can change our voicings around a little bit, but so that all of those are available to us when we're the only one in the rhythm section. Now, when you have a bass player, which is probably one of my favorite ways to play, is to have a guitar and bass and then a soloist. When you have that, then you're going to take the bass notes out, and we're going to go to those assumed root chords. And so we're starting here, but we're probably also going to add in some of the notes on the second string. I usually stay away from the first string because I'm sure that's going to get in the way of the soloist. So I might do something like, okay? And I'll be fairly rhythmic. I can be pretty percussive if I want. I can certainly go. Accenting that 2 and 4 with a muted string, muted strings, trying to emulate a snare drum or a hi-hat, depending on the groove. Now, when I have bass and drums, then I'm certainly not going to do that part of it, and so I'll probably just be doing something like that. And that's the traditional comping. Now, you can get a groove going if you want, and most of my comping in swing is going to be based on something like this. That rhythm, and then basically offsetting it. Okay. Now, those aren't the only rhythms, of course, that I'm playing, but I'm kind of have that kind of feel going on all the way through. And so that way, and I'll play, sometimes I'll play all of them, sometimes I'll play some of it, sometimes I'll play something else. But that's kind of the rhythm that I'm thinking about. Now, when there's a piano, that's, of course, going to be the most difficult one, because the pianist has the same problem that the guitarist has, but even worse, because they have 88 keys and 10 fingers, and so they can fill up everything. And unfortunately, they often do. But hopefully when you've got a pianist that's paying attention, the best place to go is going to be those shell voicings again. And then, you can kind of negotiate between the pianists. Sometimes the pianist will let you take the lead of the comping, and then they'll back off. Sometimes you do that. You can even lay out sometimes. Now, don't be afraid to lay out. When you lay out, just look at the soloist and groove. Okay? Because if that's the best thing you can do, if you can't hear something that fits, don't do it. Okay, so now I have some final tips here for you. And the first one is listen, listen, listen. And I don't mean listening to other music, I mean listening to your fellow players. Okay? You have to listen to the people that you're working with and figure out where it is that you fit. Don't ever overplay, leave plenty of space, but pay attention to what the other players are doing and then figure out where it is you fit. What can you do that can add to this and make it better? And if there's nothing there, lay out, stay out, don't worry about it. Okay? Don't worry about what anybody's thinking about you. Again, set your ego aside. Nobody's looking up there and saying, why isn't that guitar player playing? Nobody's thinking that, except maybe the other guitar players. And again, who cares what they think? You've got the gig. Okay? Now, again, just because you can do things just doesn't mean you should do it. The main thing to worry about, you're in the rhythm section, the number one thing we worry about is groove. We've got to make sure that the groove is happening. And so find where you fit in that groove, play as little as you have to make it, but make it better. Okay? Listen to everybody, and if you do so, you're going to be golden. So in the end, great accompanying means that you know your role and you fill it, that you're listening all the time, and that you're being a team player, not a superstar. So I'm going to give you an action step on how you can learn to do this better, and that is to play along with recordings of different ensembles and then see where you can fit in. So, famous recordings, Miles, anybody that you like to listen to, but pick recordings that don't have guitar, and then figure out where you can fit in. Now, you can't do that when you're doing, just accompanying in a duo, when you're the only instrument in the duo. But for any other ensemble, you can find recordings where you can probably figure out where does your role fit in. Not even a bad idea to record those over so that you can listen back and figure out did that work or did it not work? Did I get in the way or did I make it sound better? Okay. Now, of course, to be able to do this, you're going to need to know your shell voicings and understand the assumed root voicings. And there's a PDF down below, and I strongly encourage you to download it. That will give you the shell voicings and the basic primary rhythms that I use when I'm thinking about working with these different ensembles. Okay? So thank you very much for watching. Once again, please like the video and don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.